And hello, everybody, to On and Off the Field with Durf and Dylan, May 19th, 2020. What's going on? How's your May 19th going, Fred?
Not too bad, actually. I'm getting on the end of a long stretch of working consecutive days in a row. So one more day, then I get 2 days off, and I'm looking forward to those days off.
Getting 2 days off in a row in your job is like gold.
Well, you want to hear something even better is I have 2 days off, then I work one day, then I get another 2 days off for the holiday, then I work one more day, and then I
Whoa.
get another day off.
Well, you're on like this golden boy stretch. I don't think I ever had anything like that.
Oh, I guess that's what I get for working this many in a row.
Yeah, they got to reward you a little bit for what are you doing? 7 days?
It'd be 8.
8.
I just
Oof.
did. I did 6 days in a row, which wasn't terrible, and then I had
That's not bad.
a couple of days off, and then I'm gonna be finishing up 8 days in a row tomorrow.
I'll never forget the good old days of when I was in the Army Reserves, and I would work 5 days, and then go to my Army drill Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then come back and work like 5 more days. I would literally have like 13-day stretches of work.
Whew.
Those are days I do not miss at all.
Yeah.
But welcome to On and Off the Field, like we said, and we'll just give you the shindig like we always do on this special episode of On and Off the Field. You can go follow us on social. I got 2 screens now. That's why I'm like looking over here. I got like notes over here. Yeah. So like it's official now. I don't know if it might look stupid on the video that I'm looking over here, but this video will be posted and I'll tell you where in a second. But you can follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I fixed our Twitter handle. Our Twitter handle is now
Nice.
OOTF podcast, I think is what I did.
Yeah.
OOTF as in On and Off the Field. So there's our Twitter handle.
There we go.
And I'm pretty sure Instagram and Facebook are just at On and Off the Field podcast. I'm pretty sure. And then you can go over, if you don't want to look up the handles and search, it's too hard. You just go to onandoffthefield.com. Our social media links are right there. You just click a button and you go. Too easy. You also got blogs on there. I just wrote my first blog in a long time and put it on there. AFC East edition blog. Very good, I think, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
You can also watch our live show video that we post on Thursdays. You can listen to all the episodes and get all the links to the different podcasting platforms on there. You can go to the charity tab and read about Feeding America and our current Feeding America fundraising initiative of trying to get to $1,000 on that. Again, stagnant. I should probably post something about that. I feel like I haven't posted anything about that in a while.
Yeah.
Been so busy with other things. We've been doing a lot for the show.
Yeah.
We should probably jump back on that Feeding America train. And then, so that's pretty much the whole website for there, but rtfsportsnetwork.com. Lots of great stuff going on for RTF Sports Network. We're so happy to be a part of this network because so many amazing things are happening, and you really need to jump on that train. If you're not following RTF Sports Network on Facebook, we have an Instagram now. Follow it on there. Go to rtfsportsnetwork.com and sign up for the newsletter. They have a member thing now. It's free. You just sign up and you can read the blogs. They're also on there. Amazing talent at the RTF Sports Network, both for blogs and different shows. Just stunning. And now, starting, I believe, mark on your calendars, July 10th, my recruit. I recruited him and got him off the ground, and we are so excited. Storm Johnson, former NFL running back, is starting a podcast July 10th that will be on the RTF Sports Network.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing. I'm sure he's going to have amazing guests from his time back in the NFL. It's just, I cannot wait. Cannot wait to hear that show. So make sure you're following that. And then last but not least, our Patreon page. This is probably going to be one of the first things we put up on the Patreon page. This is just kind of the introductory video, I believe it'll be. It'll be, everyone can view it, whether you pay for it or not right now. Just something to say hello. But this will be our first content to really kick off the Patreon page. We have different shows that'll be on there, different kind of things we're workshopping. But that page is going to be amazing. And 50% of all your monthly fees will go towards our charity. We will budget it out. We'll figure it out for you. 50% will be shipped off to charity. The other 50% goes towards the show. Everything goes to making this the best content possible for you. That's what we're here to do.
That's what we're. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Durf works eight days in a row. He's fine with money. He can pay his mortgage by working 8 days in a row. I work 5 days in a row, Monday through Friday, to pay for my mortgage. We're fine there. The rest of it is going towards making this good for y'all. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think so.
I always kind of sweat during that portion. It's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot. It's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, I just got these 5 bullet points every week that I try to ramble through as fast as possible, but get all the info out there. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that's it for that. We have a great show. This is going to be our AFC South episode. Yeah. Super excited to do this one because it's an interesting division, I think, to say the least. Mm-hmm. You have one team that's kind of just Miami Dolphins 2.0ing it. It's kind of tanking to the ground, but they have our favorite quarterback in the league on that team.
Yeah.
And then you have a team that is trying to get past one more team to get to the ultimate game. You have one team that's kind of all over the place. You think they're really talented, but they're getting blown up by ownership. You can guess which teams they are based off of what I'm telling you right now. You can guess. And then there's one more. Why am I blanking on the last team? Because I haven't been saying them out loud, so now I'm just trying to think of an analogy for the last team, and I can't think of one. Let me scroll through my note. Oh, and the other one is being led by probably one of my least favorite older quarterbacks in the league. There we go.
There you go.
Mr. Shot Put himself. Yeah, can't wait to talk about that. So, but before we get to any of that, as everybody knows, as familiar with our program, we first have to get to the other sports, Fred.
Oh.
It's right on the notes. Oh, you put other news. Oh. I didn't realize that oversight. I normally put the other sports. We're gonna have to work on that.
Well, yeah, I'll get better.
Yeah, I'm highlighting it red right now for something to fix for the coming weeks. That's highlighted now.
I could have swore I copy and pasted that too.
You might have. Maybe I messed it up last week. It might be my fault. Who knows? I'll have to go back. We'll have to confirm on that. Maybe it is my fault. The other sports. It is kind of news as well because it's not just the sport itself, especially these days with nothing happening. At least nothing happening right now because we're looking at opening up. There has been a lot of chatter about let's just open. We're done. We want baseball. We maybe want NBA basketball playoffs. I heard on ESPN that they even were talking about Little League. They want it all. And we got just there's multiple points towards this, I think, that we're trying to talk about. All these states are looking to reopen, and one of the first things they want to bring back is sports because, especially gambling as well, casinos are looking to open before anything else. Casinos are opening before churches. Put that out there. But it's revenue. States are trying to bring in revenue. That is their main goal right now. And you can have the discussion if maybe trying to push the revenue factor instead of the save lives factor harder. I mean, that's a discussion for another time. We're not going to discuss saving lives and over money. Obviously anything reopened is going to be done with social distancing protocols and trying to keep it as safe as possible for people because most of these things are going to be done without fans in attendance, obviously.
Right.
Now it just comes down to whether you're protecting the players or not.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's probably one of the biggest questions. I mean, I feel like fans was like the easy question. Like, no fans. You're doing it without. We're still going to have sports. Move on. I think that's probably the biggest question, though, is that how is this going to affect the players? Like, are the teams going to be able to stay healthy? What policies do they put in place in order to keep the sports going once they come back? But it'll be interesting to see what kind of regulations they do before everything comes back, and kind of as as things start going and adjustments they have to make on the fly.
And one of those things, at least for the NFL, that they're looking into, NFL's not starting up right now. We'll get to the NFL topics with what they have to deal with, but they're coming up with different face masks that are medically approved. I don't know. I haven't seen any kind of designs yet. I've just seen that they're trying to manufacture something that covers their face so they don't cough on people in the middle of an NFL game. I don't get it. I saw that. Like, yes, they're trying to make a face mask so it's like medically, you don't cough on people, don't breathe on people. They're tackling each other. They're like sweating all over each other. Some people bleed during these games. You're concerned about whether a guy coughs on, like an offensive lineman coughs on the defensive lineman across from him. I don't think that's a major issue, in my opinion. That might be a waste of time and money, my opinion. But yes, I thought it was most interesting when they brought up like Little League, and they brought up youth sports. And even for our local area, I saw a news article from, I believe it was Democrat and Chronicle or something like that, about all these sports complex that are begging for youth sports to come back because they're not in use. It's another small business that's has no revenue. And they need parents, though. Like these parents don't want to miss their kids' games. Little League, Pee Wee football, whatever the heck's else out there, soccer, I guess.
Yeah.
And now it's a matter, how are they going to enforce parents? Because parents are going to be at these games. I don't care what you say. They're going to have to go. They have to drop them off. It's how this works. How are they going to regulate parents sitting in the stands, social distancing from other parents?
Right. And I know the Texas governor mentioned that yesterday when they were announcing that at the end of the month that they were going to reopen for a majority of sports. And that was one of the big things that they stressed, especially for like youth sports, was yes, the parents are allowed to be there. Please practice social distancing. Like, make sure we're still following the in public rules. I feel like they get that with youth sports. Like, you want the kids to be active. You don't want the parents just dropping them off and then 2 hours later they come back and pick them up. Like, there's a risk there. But I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see how many parents actually kind of listen to the rules. And then I think, like you said, like how are they going to really enforce it if they're not?
I feel like that's something that, unless you're having, what are you going to station a police officer at these games and force parents to stay away from each other? I really don't think they're going to do that. They might do it in some areas because you hear the horror stories of like cops like arresting people for being within 6 feet of each other. It's asinine, but you still have to keep people safe and healthy, and like the coaches that are going to be at these games, it's just everyone involved, even the kids. It's how you're going to keep everyone safe, and how they're going to regulate that is going to be on a state by state, county by county, team by team basis. In my opinion, it's going to be interesting. I don't have kids right now that are at least playing sports, so I don't have to worry about it, fortunately. But the other part of this is opening without fans for professional sports. I did not watch the NASCAR race. I know a lot of people watch the NASCAR race. I heard that people that usually don't watch NASCAR were watching NASCAR because it was the only thing on. So I thought that's good for the sport, because now you might get some new fans this week. I thought that was really beneficial. But you got NASCAR with no fans. The Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson golf thing. I saw some highlights from that. No fans. And then the Bunchalinga.
What
was that, soccer?
Is that? I have no clue.
I think it's some kind of soccer thing, but apparently that's back as well. No fans. You got what was the one with Korean baseball? They put sex dolls in the stands.
Yeah, they were talking about it on the news this morning, and they were kind of like, how many times did they ask themselves it was okay to do this?
But that's the thing. They denied it. They said that they didn't do it. They said they didn't know it was a thing. Which to your point, like, yes, you thought they would have said a million times we shouldn't do this, but someone pulled the trigger on it,
right?
But they kept saying it was an accident or they weren't in charge of it. What? How do you not know there's sex dolls in your stands?
Sex dolls with signs promoting adult content. That's what?
I like to think maybe it's a prank. Somebody did that. I would like to think they didn't do it, like the people in charge of the place. But yeah, that was different. But besides the sex dolls, no fans. And just from my perspective, for seeing at least the highlights for the golf, without the crowds cheering, it felt weird to me. UFC was weird, but UFC was different. I liked UFC without the fans a little bit because you got to hear every hit. You got to hear the corners. This one was different. They hit a ball. I'm trying to envision this like with a real pro tournament. They sink up, like, let's say it was last year at the Masters. Tiger sinks that putt, and it's just dead silence. Like, that sucks.
Right.
And that's what you would be missing. It's moments like that. And then another thing is the NFL has talked about pumping in noise into NFL games. I don't like that. See, I have this issue with fake noise and no noise. I want that middle ground, but there is no middle ground because it's impossible. I mean, do you kind of agree with that? Like, where are you standing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the NFL stadiums pumping noise into the crowd, like into the stadium during the games, is just gonna. I feel like it's gonna cause an issue. I feel like very similar to this was probably a couple years ago. I know just from being there, like Bills versus Patriots, Bills home opener. The Patriots accused the Bills stadium staff of like playing their train horn like extra long or like during a drive at the wrong time, and they like basically told them that like it was affected their game. I mean, granted, they still won, but that I feel like that's where you risk the integrity of the game. Like, do stadium people that manage the media or any kind of audio in the stadium, how is that going to be regulated on what they can and cannot do during the games?
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that, and I haven't heard anyone really discuss that, because that's a good point. If you're at a home game and they're allowed to pump in whatever they want whenever they want,
right?
I mean, let's say it is a 2-minute drive to win the game for the away team. Hey, I'm pumping in the noise. Let's crank this baby up to 1 million. Right. This is what our crowd sounds like. I'm just trying to make it accurate. Like, no, sorry, sir. I'm literally deaf now. It'll be interesting to see what the regulation is there. If there's like a decibel level they can't go over. I'm sure there would be some kind of time limit. You have to turn off something or turn it down at some point, maybe.
Right.
It's a good point. I didn't even think about that. So thanks. That's good input. Good stuff. This is why he's here, folks. This is why I see he's the brains of the operation here, this guy.
Oh, okay.
But quickly, just for other news or other sports. You got me saying other news. Look what you've done to me. Damn it.
We'll fix it for Thursday.
But this one kind of is other news, I guess you could say, since it is just about The Last Dance. The Last Dance is over. I watched episodes 9 and 10 on Monday, and it wasn't really anything that you didn't expect to hear about. I really actually didn't expect to hear about Steve Kerr's father's death. They talked about how Steve Kerr's father died, and they talked about it right before it led up to his game-winning shot in Game 6 in the 1997, I think in the finals. I think it was the finals game. They hit that shot. And or no, that or was it maybe it was just the championship game before it. I don't remember now. I didn't make the note of it, but he did hit that game 6 against the Pacers. But great, they did a great job with that, talking about that, how it led up to that shot. They just made it that much more emotional when they showed him making the shot. And then the most interesting part of all of this, without a doubt, is they talked about, Michael Jordan's flu game, where he fought through the flu. He was dehydrated, getting an IV during TV timeouts, and comes back and fights through it all and wins the game. But now they're going through with the story that the night before, there was one pizza place open. Michael Jordan ordered a pizza from that pizza place late at night. 5 people came and dropped that pizza off at the doorstep of Michael Jordan at the hotel, surrounded by security guards. And the pizza was delivered. Michael Jordan ate all of it. And if you watch Dan Patrick's show, everyone doubted that he ate all of it. But according to the director of The Last Dance, they talked about it on the side. Apparently, Michael Jordan spit on the pizza so he could eat all of it, so no one else would eat it. Like a dominance move. Because everyone didn't believe him. Like, it's because there was other people in the room with him. Yeah. It was like a party thing going on, like with a couple people. And Michael Jordan apparently spit on the pizza, so he's the only one who ate it. And then obviously they're saying now he got food poisoning, and that's what happened in that game, and he didn't have the flu. You can poke holes in this all day long, which is what I've seen a lot of people do recently.
Yeah.
But it's just, I thought it was fun. I don't think it's true. I think that's nonsense. Apparently, maybe he did get food poisoning. I just think the story is crazy. The fact that 5 people dropped off a pizza from a pizza place that probably had 2-3 people working, since it was 10, 11 midnight.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little funny there, but the world may never know what actually happened that day, because Michael Jordan's probably the only one that truly knows. But it is over now, and I didn't live through this. And really the only thing I have to say is I don't know whose fault it is that this all fell apart. Was it ownership's fault because they didn't want to pay everybody? Was it Jerry Krause's fault because he kind of gave the ultimatum, like, Phil Jackson's out of here?
Yeah.
Was it the player's fault? Was it Pippen's fault because he was greedy, wanted to get paid or something? Maybe it's a little bit of everybody, and they all just said bye and left. At the end of episode 10, everyone made an excuse about why it fell apart. But it was probably a mix of all of it. And it really was, I think, just a proper ending. They got their 6 and everybody went their own way. I thought it was a well done document and an amazing dynasty that is now no more.
Yep. Just like the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm interested about the Patriots because I feel like it's not completely over yet, in my opinion. Tom Brady's gone. He's still in the league, though. Like, Michael Jordan retired. Tom Brady's still in the league, so his legacy and dynasty thing is not quite over. Plus, the Patriots, they still have Bill. Right. Once Bill is gone, like if they have a terrible season this year and Bill goes away, then you can officially declare it over, and we can talk about everything that we need to talk about. But I'll give them until Bill's gone before I say Patriots dynasty completely over. It's definitely close to over.
Yeah.
Unless they win another Super Bowl with like Stidham or something, then this just keeps going. That's why I'm not putting a gravestone on it yet.
Right.
In my opinion, because maybe they do win.
Yeah. We can hope not.
Pray. Just praying. But that's it we have for other news. Killed a lot of time on other news. So let's jump into the NFL, into some NFL news. Biggest thing, I think, it's been an eventful week, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
It's for an off season with everything going on, no actual sports. This has been pretty crazy. I guess NFL players are getting bored. This quarantine has them just kind of like, you know what? I'm done. We have we released this in Thursday's live show because it happened pretty much during the live show.
Yeah.
That DeAndre Baker and Quentin Dunbar, part of an accused armed robbery. They're at a party, but now they're both, I think they're both released on bail. And both of them are claiming that they were not a part of this. This maybe was just somebody, maybe they're at a party and then something happened like a fight, but there was actually no robbery. Maybe, I don't know. The details haven't been truthful or haven't come out yet. So
Okay.
a lot of speculation on that.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I've heard from Dunbar being on the Seahawks, he's released stuff to the Seahawks. I've read a couple things. From what I've seen, he says he wasn't a part of it, but only time will tell. Ed Oliver for the Bills. Yeah. There's no getting out of this one.
Man.
There's
nope.
There's no witness testaments for this one.
Oh, there's a video for it too. So.
Oh, there's a video? Oh,
yeah,
we should. I haven't seen the video.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
There was a video of him being tested, and like when he got pulled over, like doing the walk and stuff.
Didn't look good.
No. Like I don't know how good his balance was on when he's like sober, but like probably being inebriated didn't help.
He probably is a little bit more balanced than he was. So yeah, if you can guess from the context there, he was driving drunk, and just for bonus measures, he had an illegal weapon in the car, like a pistol that apparently was not his. Yeah, just tack that on there for fun. But I did see today he's still a part of the Bills off-season program, though, so I don't know how that's possible.
I did see that. Yep.
I guess they're just gonna keep working with him until he's actually behind bars, and maybe even then they'll zoom in from the prison cell and he'll work out from the yard.
There you go.
And this is probably the craziest one of them all, with all the details that have come out. Cody Latimer of the Redskins was arrested for aggravated assault just assault, I think they might be calling it. I'm not sure. And illegal discharge of a weapon. The story is that he was at a poker game. A fight broke out. He said to all the people playing the game, "I'm going to kill all of you," is the quote given, like in a report, that he said he was going to kill everyone. And then the reason the fight broke out, I really don't even want to say it, but here we are. Apparently one of the members at that poker game sexually assaulted Cody Latimer's 4-year-old son.
Wow. Yeah. No. That's not good.
I could see why a guy would want to shoot somebody at that point.
Yeah.
I get it. So I hate to be on the side of a guy who is going to threaten to kill people and shoot guns, but that's just disturbing.
Yeah, a little bit.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think to get onto some brighter news here. So Big Ben has finally thrown a legit NFL pass, which consisted of throwing to one of his teammates. So
that's not the only thing that consists of the pass. No pads or anything.
Yes. So with that finally being done, he has finally trimmed his beard and cut his hair. So no more Ben Kiesel. But this was a little bit of repercussion today from the Pennsylvania governor, Tom Wolf. He said that he was not pleased that Ben Roethlisberger went to a barbershop, since that barbershop wasn't permitted to be open yet, because they have a lot of counties in Pennsylvania that still are on tight restrictions based on what their state government is doing for how they want to reopen the state. So, but yeah, so Ben, you got a nice little trim now. Doesn't look like a homeless man. We'll see how far it goes now with him.
I think his cleaned up beard looks pretty nice, but I'm not gonna lie. Just personally, I liked his pre-barbershop beard. That thing was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you'd be able to eat with that. That's pretty disgusting, honestly, once you think of it like that.
Oh.
The other since Big Ben was practicing, though he was throwing passes, kind of leads into the next topic of everyone's starting to talk about how NFL teams' facilities are starting to open up a little bit. A couple here, a couple there. It depends on the state. I know the big one is Florida. People are able to practice there. I think you can basically do anything you want in Florida at this point. They're just kind of rolling with it.
Pretty much.
But as states slowly open up, so do NFL facilities. But some states are not open yet. Some teams might be able to practice for other teams, which leads to the talk of competitive advantages. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. A lot of states seem to be on the same page as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And even if, like Big Ben was doing, and I think Josh Allen did it with Stephon Diggs. I saw in the news they went down to Florida and practiced.
I saw that. Yep.
If people want to practice, even if their stadium or their facility is not open yet, they will find a way to practice, I think. If they have to fly to Florida, the team will fly to Florida and they'll practice. So I don't think that's an issue.
Well, could it end up being like a spring training camp version for the NFL? Like how baseball does? They all fly south. You could have that. If those states are open, then why not?
Yeah. I don't see why, since they haven't been able to really work out in gyms this entire off season. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't allow teams to go wherever they want and hold these kind of extra bonus off-season workouts. I guess you could call it at this point, and kind of like a spring training. Because let's be honest, this virtual off-season, that's not helpful with all the rookies.
Right.
You need to be there. This needs to be a physical thing with their new teammates. So hopefully they allow teams to they leave the rules kind of flexible for that. And then last but not least, oh boy, the Rooney Rule.
Yeah. So
it's a sensitive thing, I think.
I think so. I think the NFL is trying to get into that really tricky spot here. I think the way it works now is pretty well, but I like that they're kind of upping the requirements for NFL teams to when they're looking for a new head coach or looking for a new coordinator. At least they're going to see diversity with it. So the current plan is that if a team hires a minority coach or coordinator, they can receive incentives like higher draft picks. The requirements when they are looking for head coaches and coordinators is that it has to be 2 minority interviews for any head coach position, and it has to be 1 minority interview for coordinator positions. It's a lot of and then also the plan will also call for removing permissions that prevent assistant coaches from interviewing for other jobs, which I think is a good idea because it kind of helps those people that are in that spot and ready to move up, makes it more available for them. But I'm not sure. The rumor is now that not all the elements are going to pass. I did hear today that they tabled the idea for incentives to be given to teams in the NFL draft based on the minority hires. So they're still trying to, I think, work it out. I think they're just trying to figure out a lot of things right now. But I do like the diversity. I think the only problem is, does it water down the candidate pool? Maybe a little bit, possibly, because teams are going to have to do these required interviews. But this could also, you could find those great candidates that you didn't know about because they weren't there in your kind of area you were looking for.
It's definitely a good opportunity. Having to bring people in that maybe didn't get that chance.
Right.
Now, I'm glad today because I was going to come on here and say a lot of negative things about this, but they tabled the worst idea of it with giving incentives about a minority hire because that just leads to 2 things. That leads to an issue with if you hire someone that's not as qualified, maybe,
Right.
just so you can get that draft pick, and then they get fired the next year. And then you bring in another guy, you get another draft pick, they get fired. Stuff like that can happen. Maybe there's some things in there to make sure that doesn't happen. But then you have the question, if you get brought into that interview, let's say you are a minority person being considered for the head coach position, but you get brought in, they ask you one or two questions. All right, interview's done, they kick you out. Don't you think that might feel kind of, what if you are the guy that feels like they just brought me in here to meet a requirement?
Right.
That's gonna hurt. And that's I feel like that might end up leading to, well, what if one of those guys that got asked 1-2 questions comes out and says, hey, the Jaguars brought me in, they didn't give me a fair shake, they just brought me in to meet their requirement. Like, I see things like that breaking down. I hope not. I hope this is great. I hope this there's positives to this. The Rooney Rule's not new. Make that clear. This is people are acting like this is something that hasn't existed before. This has been in the league for a while now, but it's just coming back to light with their changes. It's great.
Right.
But the discussion comes up that you at least need to have this about having these requirements and how it might affect some minority folks that usually don't get a fair shake. Now I just hope they get that chance, and it's a fair chance that these teams present to them.
Yeah. And again, we can hope.
So that's all of our news. And we are super excited to jump into our next segment, our main segment for the evening, the AFC South. And we're going to get started with the AFC South with the one and only Houston Texans with our guest. Click some buttons. Jason McMahon from the Whiskey Hour Podcast. What's going on?
How y'all doing?
How you doing? I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm wonderful, man. Enjoyed to be here. I got my glass of whiskey, ready to talk some sports.
There we go.
That's a tall glass.
Yes, sir. I'm from Houston. That's kind of how we do down there.
Everything's bigger in Texas, eh?
Well, not everything, but some things.
Some things. Yeah, at least the bigger beards too. I see that too.
Hey, you know, like you're in the military. I was in the military, and I just got out August 18th of 18, and I've been growing this ever since. I waited 20 years to grow this, and I got about 6 more years to get down to about here where the wife really hates me, and that's kind of where I'm seeing, how I'm gonna play. I might do a Ben Roethlisberger, if I win $1 million, maybe I'll shave it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, there you go. You got to have some kind of incentive in there to make it worth it, because that's an accomplishment to get it down there. It's got to be worth it to cut it off.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see you got one growing too, though.
Yeah, I did basically the same thing as you. Oh, yeah. You actually shaved yours there.
Yeah, I grew it out for a year in college. It got probably, I don't know, about a year or so. And actually, just recently, this last 2019, I actually just shaved it completely off. I'm like, you know what? It looks a little patchy. Let's just start right from the we'll shave right off and kind of see if it grows in a little thicker. And I think it really did. But I still trim it and keep it nice and tight and everything like that.
Yeah, I try to keep mine at least a little clean.
Yeah.
Usually that's a pretty poor effort, though.
Well, I just realized, the whole beard balm thing, that seems to really keep the bushiness down, So that's kind of what I'm perfecting now. It's the beard balm and the creams. And once you start getting that going, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, I never used to buy any until my brother bought me one for my birthday. He bought me some stuff, and I was like, man, that's pretty nice. It helps a little bit. It makes it nice and soft, too. So we are here to talk some Texans.
Yes, we are.
And the Texans are quite the team these days, to say the least.
Yeah, you kind of hit that one on the head, to say the least. I don't know what Bobo's doing over there. I don't know what Bill O'Brien's doing. Where we're trading away our second best player for what? David Johnson? I don't understand this. Maybe y'all can enlighten me. Maybe he might know more than I do on that. But to me, it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus around the NFL. Even when this trade first came through, multiple GMs around the league were like, Bill did what? No one understood it. So certainly you're not going to get answers from me. But that was obviously the highlight of their offseason. And just to hit the rewind button just a little bit more, just how last season was quite the roller coaster as well. That just seems to be the perfect name or perfect adjective for the Houston Texans these days, is a roller coaster, because it was an up and down season. They make it to the playoffs and they're getting buried by the Bills. And then, hey, come back, win. Awesome. A lot of momentum, go to the Chiefs. They go up. I don't want to say the score for PTSD reasons. They go up on the Chiefs and they end up losing to the Chiefs in that game, and their season ends in heartbreak. I mean, overall, was it a successful season for you guys? Did you like what happened? Did you hate everything?
Oh, we hated everything. Let me, I'm actually having, I'm going to show my age here, but I'm actually having flashbacks to Warren Moon, 9 Pro Bowlers on the defense, but I can't beat the damn Broncos because they got 13 points going in the fourth quarter. I don't understand. I feel like with the Texans, it's just like it was with the Oilers. And I feel like we're living deja vu all over again. We get to a certain level and we should do something, but we don't. Mm-hmm. And it goes all the way back to Billy Washington Johnson going up against the Steelers. Should have got the Super Bowl, but didn't. But turned out his foot was in bounds. I think this team is just jinxed. I think from start to finish. Hell, it started with Baselli, goes into J.J. Watt. We can't hold on to Jadeveon Clowney, which, by the way, I think they need to go back and re-sign this guy and go find out how they can bring him in. But I think at the end of the day, I think this team is just cursed. They're cursed. They're cursed with their own abilities. You go out and you get rid of your best wide receiver, and you bring in what? Cobb at $27 million. Come on, man, pay the guy the money, because you done downgraded your run game, so now your run game's in the tank. You done downgraded your receiving game, so your receiving game's in the tank. Where we go from here? You done lost most of your some of your defensive guys have gotten hurt, like Watt. Watt's almost out the door. They'll be lucky if they can go 9-7. I think this year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the biggest question, I think, with this offseason is, I mean, besides all the risky moves they made, I mean, I think it's risky is all get out with these moves. But, I mean, what kind of toll is this taking on Bill O'Brien this year? Like, he's taking on that GM role and being a head coach, trying to do the Bill Belichick thing. I don't think it's working out for him. Maybe it's getting in his head. Maybe it is because of the way these trades came down. Maybe he doesn't like DeAndre Hopkins. That's why he was like, just give me whatever. I'll take it. But, I mean, David Johnson in my opinion, I feel like he's flamed out in the last couple of years with his performance. And I don't know how you feel about him, but I would not be looking forward to him being on the Texans.
Hey, listen, I want him on that Texas about as bad as I want the coronavirus. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's be honest. Like you said, we took David Johnson, the guys that he's washed up. I don't understand this. Stephon Diggs, the Vikings got more for Stephon Diggs than what we are getting for Hopkins. How is that even possible? How is that possible?
Right.
And this guy was a cancer, and they're getting more for a cancer than what we got for a good product. And I think Bill O'Brien needs to wake up and realize he ain't in Kansas no more. This is Wizard of Oz. I mean, you're not Bill O'Brien. Just because you had links to him don't mean you're him.
Yep.
He needs to go click his ruby red shoes and get out of town.
I think he needs to go see a psychologist and get his life back in order before, hell, bring back Gary Kubiak. I'm ready for it.
Wow.
I was happy with Gary.
Yeah, there's
I know,
claim.
You're saying, but let me tell you something. At least Gary Kubiak wouldn't have traded Hopkins for freaking David Johnson. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, no, that's true. I don't think anyone else on the planet would have done that, especially for what got in return. That's
they
100% true.
But then he goes and trades away our first round draft pick on top of that for what? Tunsil, and gets Tunsil $66 million. Come on now. Listen, I want offensive linemen too. And you can get that later on in the draft. There's tons of offensive linemen out there. You got Jones from U of H you could have gone and grabbed and still kept a first round pick and got a decent wide receiver in return to replace what you lost in Hopkins. Or even go after Hilaire. If he was available, I had to figure where Hilaire went, but I'm pretty sure Hilaire was still in the mix when they could have drafted in the first round when they gave that to Miami. I just think he's making a lot of crazy moves. And what do we get? What is he getting in return? He's not getting anything in return. He hasn't even made one move this offseason to even warrant him to keep his job in the future. I don't understand this team.
Yeah, it brings up a lot of question marks.
I'm about to go get a Browns t-shirt, a brown paper bag, and I'm gonna go get some of those tickets.
Eric, the brown paper bag might be a good look. You never know. It's like it seems like the official logo of the AFC South recently. You brought up the draft a little bit with trading around the first round pick, and 5 picks this year.
Yeah,
you got in the first one, the second round, and their second and third round picks being defensive line virtually is a good decision. With still losing Clowney, and they have injury-prone players on the defensive line, but at the end of the day, it was not a good draft, in my opinion.
No, it wasn't a good draft. They got one guy, Blacklock. He might be able to get, he might be the only day one starter. The rest of them are just projects. I'm sorry, I led projects in junior high. I'm ready to move on. Let's get it going. I mean, you can't sit there and waste your whole life on projects. I mean, you need to have something out there, and they got Jacoby in the backfield, but they got Roby in the backfield, but he's back there by himself, looking like, okay, well, this is going to be another deflated year. They'll be lucky if J.J. Watt's last 8 games. I'll be honest with you. And then so what? You got Merciless back there. That's about your only guy. You got a one-man defense and one guy in the secondary, and that's about all you got. Well, there were 28 last year, right?
2 people I can name. Yeah, J.J. Watt, right. Merciless, and Roby. Those are the only guys I got. Anyone else, I'd have to break out the depth chart on ESPN.com.
But you're right. But that's about where they're at. They did draft Justin Reed, Eric Reed's little brother. I mean, why don't I go get Eric Reed as your safety and put the Reed brothers together? I mean, Eric Reed basically taught Justin Reed the whole football map at that position. So why not go get Eric Reed? He's out there and available. You could, with the money you saved on David's on Johnson, you could probably take some of that money, restructure it, and give it to Eric Reed and bring him in for a lead. Nothing else, veteran leadership in the secondary.
Well, I think that'd be a smart move then. I don't think that's.
I think so.
That's not really Bill's. That's not really Bill's forte.
But you got Griffin out there too. I mean,
yeah,
Griffin is still out there. Why not go grab that guy? Because right now, once Watt goes out in 8th game, what you got left? Nothing. Why not bring Griffin in? At least give you some more help on your front line. I don't know what O'Brien's thinking. I at this point, I'm ready to go interview for the job. I think I could probably get it.
You got my vote.
There you go. Talked about how J.J. Watt's only going to last 8 games this year. I mean, do you see the Texans kind of making a repeat of what they did last year? Maybe a little less with the loss of Hopkins. I mean, what are your kind of opinions and what do you think you're going to see the Texans do this year?
I see a lot of cursing at the TV. Honestly, I think me and my dad are probably going to toss up and probably trade in our jerseys for something else. 9-7. I mean, honestly, I would be happy if we can go 9-7. I mean, You got Chiefs. Look at this. They got Chiefs week 1, Ravens week 2. Both of them are away games. That's an 0-2 start right off the jump. So already the momentum in September is going to be bloody. And then what? You got the Titans twice, Green Bay. You got Indianapolis. You got Pittsburgh. I mean, these guys. If they make it to 9 wins, that they better look. That's like a gift horse in the mouth, I think, for them at this point. And I'm a fan, but I mean that's just the reality of it,
right?
They get more than 9 wins. I think Bill O'Brien might. I don't know. I think at some point McNair needs to step in and say, hey, I think you have gotten in some uncharted territories. Maybe we actually do need to go get a GM and put you back to coaching again. Or if that, let him go. Go grab Lincoln Riley. I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay to go get Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, I mean that could work for Deshaun Watson, playing that kind of that spread offense, spread fast offense. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like it's working with the Cardinals right now. I think with Kyler Murray kind of getting better for year 2, but yeah, it's definitely if they get rid of Bill O'Brien, I think they got to go that way.
Right. I just think they're giving up so much money to players that aren't really, like I said, 66 to Tunsil, Fairbairn, that kicker got 17, Roby got 36, and Cobb got 27. But yet they don't want to give the one guy who's got going for 1,100 yards last year, the one mainstay that can help them, and they don't want to give him the money. And then and then they were talking about getting rid of Kenny Stills. Are you kidding me? Why would you get rid of Kenny Stills? I mean, and then they draft that one wide receiver, Couture or whatever his name is, out of the 5th round. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. I feel like, and maybe they went for best available, but at the same time, I feel like you said, I believe that this draft was maybe a C or a D plus or a C minus, in my opinion. I think outside of Blacklock, everything else is just a reach.
Right, and it's hard to fill all the holes with 5 picks too, and so I feel like they did their best. And that season breakdown is tough. Like you said, I think 9 wins would be a blessing for them. We'll see what happens with the Colts. They're kind of an enigma right now with Phillip Rivers. You do get the Bengals on there. You have the Jaguars on there. A couple games that Deshaun Watson could pull something out of his hat, maybe get to 9 wins, and with 7 playoff teams per division, maybe they sneak into a wild card if they get to 9 wins. It would definitely be an interesting season for that. It will be an interesting season for them.
Oh, absolutely. At this point, I think Deshaun Watson, hopefully he stays upright and he doesn't get clamored because, I mean, without a good run game and without, the wide receiver, the true wide receiver help. I mean, you got Fuller, but Fuller's coming off an injury. I mean, I don't know how well he's going to play. He didn't even scratch 1,000 yards last year. So, without the weapons being there, I don't know. I mean, he's going to have to scramble a lot in the pocket. He's going to have to run a lot. And I don't know, history of running quarterbacks never fares well for the long haul. And that's what kind of worries me about Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's already been kind of injury prone himself in that capacity. So I feel like, I really just feel like I think Bill O'Brien, if he can make it to 9 wins, he's popping some champagne. He's got some goggles and some plastic wrap all around him.
So proud of that 9 and 7. Well, Jason, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We had a blast and we learned a lot, and we really appreciate you coming.
Hey, I appreciate you too, guys. Hey, for you guys out there, come on, check out the Whiskey Hour podcast where the liquor never stops and the fun always begins. Thank you guys for having me. Let me come on some other time. I hope to.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we'll 100% be in touch, and we'll be checking out your show as well, 100%.
All right, y'all be good, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
All right, see ya.
All right, that was Jason. That was a great talk, great insight on the Texans, and we're gonna jump straight into our next segment here with the Indianapolis Colts with the one and only Grant.
Oh, yeah, Ermiter. You know what? Ermiter is what it is, but you know what? Ermiter is what I get all the time. So
that was going to be my guess, and I was like, I feel like that's I never get it right on the first try. I would have been incredibly
surprised if you nailed that. So it's okay, but I'll shed a single tear later.
Hey, my last name is Moran, Moran. You can guess what I've been called my whole life. Yeah. Right so on. I'm with you there. Tough last names.
Good to be here, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We're going to talk Colts, and we're super excited to talk Colts because we like we were saying earlier, the AFC South is a very interesting division this year. I don't know about competitive because there's so many question marks, but the biggest question.
You just had a nice candidate for the Houston GM job here on right before me. It sounded like he had a little bit of a stronger grasp of what's going on than Bob over there, brother.
Hey, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, pretty good.
He has better ideas than Bill O'Brien does. I'll tell you that.
But I gotta say, as a Colts fan, I'm digging what Bill O'Brien's doing over
there. I'm sure inside the AFC is just loving the fact that he promoted himself. He fits that role well for everyone else.
Oh man. Ultimate power.
The big question is quarterbacks in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. We always like to hit the rewind button first for this for these segments with these teams.
Sure.
And I just want to know your feelings about, because we never really, this podcast wasn't really running at full speed back when Andrew Luck retired. So I just kind of, a quick feeling about ever since he retired, your feelings when he retired, Jacoby Brissett, just kind of like a general what's been going on since.
Well, you can sum it up by, what could have been is the thought. Always when I see a horseshoe, it's really what could have been, right? I have a 13-year-old and 8-year-old, and that was supposed to be their quarterback for the next 10 years, 10, 12 years. So injuries is something we dealt with him for a long time. He had Chuck Pagano and Ryan Grigson as his, his coach and GM combo for, and that just resulted in him getting beat to crap for 5 years, really. And when he retired, he said he'd been injured for 4 years. And I can go back to that Titans game when he got, I remember the shot. He took a shot in the Titans game, and there was a shot of Matt Hasselbeck kind of doing one of these to him on the sideline and saying, "You okay, buddy?" And there was a big wince when that happened. And I really believe that was it. And he played for 2 more years on that after that. And they kept running him out there. And so I guess to fast forward a little bit, the da-da-da, here comes the, I wasn't watching the game. It was the preseason game. And I know he came out and did some high knees. You remember that? He did some high knees before that game.
Yeah.
You don't know that. But, it was all, is he going to be ready for the start of the season? Is he not? And then we were like, it's not. We're going to have Jacoby for 1 or 2 games. And, he can handle 1 or 2 games, right? So he's out. We're all feeling good now because he's out there and he does these high knees. And we're like, oh, my God, he's going to be able to start the season. Wow.
Yeah. There's your 180.
Not only is he not starting the season, but he's never playing football in the NFL again. And my nature, that ESPN alert comes across and I see it and, read it. You read it again, right? And maybe you read it again. And is this true? This can't be true. And it was really like my nature is to laugh. I'm like, really? Like this is happening? This is it? So I laughed and I'm like, wow, this is happening. And so it was quite a night. And I felt sorry for him a little bit the way it kind of transpired because he did give his body, his body to this organization in Indianapolis over that time frame. And so, when you remove yourself from the situation and look at it from 10,000 feet, and, I was the kind of guy who, said in 4th grade, I'll play football for as long as my body will let me and all these things, right? And his body stopped letting him play football. And when you have $100 million in the bank, okay, all right, $100 million in the bank, and
that helps the decision-making process.
You just got married, and you got a kid on the way. Lucy Luck, right? Eventually was born. And you have a Stanford architecture degree in your back pocket as well. I did my best. I can't give it my all. It's he had that mindset of, I was cheating people, So, but going from Peyton to Andrew, you have this vision of this, the same thing sort of transpiring. And so it just screeching halt, denial, anger, sadness, all those things happen. So yeah, man. But at the same time, make your decision for what's right for you, what's right for your family, what's right for your future. And all the best. Big old Colts fan. I think we're finally over the, is this like a Favre thing? Is this a comeback thing? And maybe someday. And so I think we're all over that now. Now that we've had a couple drafts since then, and it would be a real bad look now to come back after sort of drafting another quarterback and sort of doing other things. But yeah, it was quite the night, and and then we all try to make ourselves feel better, right? Hey, you know what? Jacoby's taking all the starting reps already. He's been hurt, so we're going to be fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby's definitely had a year I would say this year. I mean, he's definitely taken the kind of the back seat there I feel like Phillip Rivers coming in. I mean, how much do you feel like how good do you feel that Phillip Rivers is there now and kind of now you've got a 3 quarterback room.
Yeah, thank goodness for the expanded rosters, right? No,
yeah,
for sure. So Jacoby, we had a glimpse of Jacoby with Chuck Pagano for 2017. So we wanted to give Jacoby a little bit of a benefit of the doubt coming in 2018, and he's going to be fine and he's going to be good. And we got Frank Reich now; he's a quarterback guy, and we're going to do some good things. Wait to judge. So 5 games in, okay, he's doing okay. We're winning. We're 5-2. Does the MCL? Even when we were 5-2 last year, it was not a sustainable thing. We're barely winning games. The Houston game, which everybody, all of a sudden, it's like MVP talk for Mr. Jacoby Brissett. If you go back and look at that game, those 5 touchdowns averaged 5 yards in the air. Okay, total. All right, 5 yards in the air. One was one of them shovel pass deals. All right, so
right.
It was never going to be a thing, a long-term thing, as much as the organization want to say he's our guy, he's this and that. So as you watch the season and you understand what the team's trying to do with this run heavy, with this play action and run and then gash, the problem was that we could never gash, right? It was run, and then the opportunity is now to gash, and it was like, wow, it was a hold, look, scramble for 2 and punt, on 3rd down.
Right.
And that was really it. And I say all that to now insert Phillip Rivers, who has the history with both Nick Sirianni and Frank Reich from their time in what was it, San Diego, that the Chargers. And I liked Phillip. So the Colts people don't like Phillip Rivers, right? He used to beat the Colts. There's the playoff game where he tears his ACL and he walks off the field. That you can look up the clip, and he's flipping the bird to everybody. The bird is out, okay, to the crowd. And then Billy freaking Bullet comes in and beats the Colts, and off we go. So the Colts fans don't love the trash talk stuff, don't like the way he treated the fans. I love the passion that he plays with. I love the sort of childlike, fun. It's funny. We're playing a game. Let's go have fun. And it's cool to watch him do that. Aside from that, with this offensive line, he's going to be able to stand back there, survey the field, be a statue as he is. Obviously he can move that pocket and sort of manipulate things in a small space, but he's not going to take off and run. I guess I'd say Jacoby wasn't a runner either. Okay, so it's not. You're right. He made some plays Denver game, but Nyheim Hines, Paris Campbell, T.Y. Hilton, Michael Pittman. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think he's going to have a 2018 sort of renaissance situation here with this run game, and this O line, and this coaching staff and the scheme. So I'm bullish, big time.
Yeah, mentioned at least Pittman there I think the Colts had one of the stronger drafts. I think they addressed some needs. They got some good depth. And Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, a couple people scratch their heads, but it's a good backup there for Marlon Mack. I think that's a great pick. And especially for the future. I mean, they've come out and said now Phillip Rivers they're expecting him to play multiple seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just a morale boost. But they have Jacob Eason there as well. I mean, I think they had a good draft. What did you think so as well?
I would agree, right? Jordan Love was the hot name in Colts land, right? It was mocked there all the time. And I'm now of the age where I don't fall in love with the prospect in the draft because he's not coming. You fall in love, not coming. Okay. So but man, Colts Twitter, Colts land in general was all in on Jordan Love. So
already had his jersey made.
When the Raiders traded up, you knew exactly what was happening. So when that night ended, and all right, we got some picks in the second round, let's go. Everybody's wish list was big body wide receiver, Nobody's wish list was running back, but man, he's a baller, isn't he, Taylor? And then some defensive help, and a quarterback. We thought outside of Love and those top guys, names like Hurts and the other guy out of Washington State, can't remember his name right now. He didn't even get drafted, but these guys were names that Colts wanted. So they wanted a big body wide receiver. They wanted a quarterback. But if you've ever listened to Mr. Chris Ballard talk, he's not going to. Well, first of all, he's not going to do things based on what the fans want. He's also not going to do things based on just kind of flavor. He's not going to reach. He's going to make the call based on the best available player that's available right now. And you saw that with Taylor, even with the trade up. Yeah. And then it was pretty sweet there. He traded up and then actually traded again to get a better 5th rounder back that he traded to trade up. So big Chris Ballard fan and big fan of that draft. Good value pick there with Blackman as well, the safety who had recorded ACL in the Pac-12 championship game, I believe. And that I like those sorts of moves, whether it's the Colts or other team where they're going to fall a little bit, but we've kind of earned the right to make that sort of move with the Kari Willis and the Marvell Tells that they've drafted here in the past. So I'm excited about Michael Pittman. I'm excited about Taylor. I'm excited about DeForest Buckner is a big guy.
That too. Another part of their big offseason.
I mean, we had no first-round pick, and if it comes down to it, Chris Ballard said at the end of that last season that I love the way that man speaks, right? He's going to tell you what's going to happen, and I'm a defensive-minded guy, and so is he. I played nose tackle. There's our cool tech coming in, and this defense starts with the 3 tech, and so Javon Kinlaw, Derek Brown were going to be the only options there in the first round, even if that was going to be an option. So you think to yourself, do we go with the known commodity or do we go with the unknown commodity? This known commodity is available, and it's going to take this pick. And that was a slick move for both teams. It was a win-win, and so big fan of that. And I know that Kenny Moore and Darius Leonard are as well.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels like the Colts got quite the team kind of building here, and seems like it's gonna. I don't think they're there yet as kind of an all or nothing team for this season, but I think they're definitely going the right direction. Where do you kind of see their season going this year? What are your projections for this year?
Like we kind of started talking about the AFC South, right? That's going to help us a lot. Okay, some of those things that happen. Goodbye, DeAndre Hopkins. Holy cow! What? Goodbye. Amazing. Hello, Randall Cobb and whatever. Who else? I don't care. Goodbye. And then
Yeah, exactly. Who else?
It does not matter. So Jonathan Joseph was a Texan also. He left, and I was kind of sad about that until he left to the Titans. So we get to T.Y. can still clown on Jonathan Joseph, so that's rad. No. So I see about maybe two division losses. I think we couldn't still drop one to the Texans and drop one to the Titans. They're going to run it back. Derrick Henry's scary. He's an animal. I remember playing years past. Whenever they would play a game and they wouldn't just feed him, the game would be over. Be like, okay, thank God. Like they didn't. What are they doing, right? And then they started feeding him. It's like, holy cow. Anyway. I'm just glad I don't have to tackle that guy. The season itself, I can see some losses here to the Packers. Right, we got the Packers. We got the Ravens at home. That's gonna be fun. We fared well against the Chiefs last year, and I have a weird sneaky feeling that we're gonna fare okay against the Ravens this year. I mean, maybe I'm a homer or not, but I like how we get up for these games like that. So we have the Steelers on the road. We never win that game, like ever. We never win that game. So that's tough. And I do think the Browns game could be a fun game as well. I think they might be sneaky good this year with the new coaching staff and maybe just some re-energized professionalism and, an actual team over there. So it'll be fun. I'm thinking, 10, 11 wins, really. I'd love to see 11 wins. I think 10-6 is kind of a cop-out. So you go 9 or 7, 11-5. I would be more inclined to go the 11-5 direction. It is predicated on, I think, Phillip Rivers. I mean, this was a 9-win team with Jacoby Brissett last year and Brian Hoyer. and with Philip, and it's going to be 11-win game or 11-win season for sure.
All right, I think that's definitely doable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a foot race between the Colts and Titans. You like to think, as long as the Colts come out, Philip Rivers. The only thing with me with Philip Rivers, whenever I used to watch him, especially, I always bring up that Mexico game against the Chiefs. Whenever I watch him throw a ball, it looks more like, especially this is a deep ball, it just looks like he's just shot putting it.
It's like 100%.
Throw this up here.
Okay, so I've had to come to terms with that most definitely because but if you go back to his NC State days, it's the same. So it's not like he's compensating for anything or anything like that. It's just the way he throws the ball. So so Game Pass was free for a while, right? So I went and got some Game Pass and watched him last year. And I started at the end of the season because I wanted to see falling off a cliff and this and that. And I mean, we're talking week 14, 15. He's still 50 yards in the air. So I'm not really worried about any of that. And these interceptions that we're talking about, you go dig into that a little bit. A lot of these are end of the half, end of the game, down 2 scores. He's not going to just pack it in and say goodnight. He's going to I can either throw this ball and it can be picked or caught, or I can take a sack or check it down and we lose the game. What do you want me to do? So he throws that ball. He's not concerned about the box scores or his line. So I think when you get into it a little bit, there's a lot of positives.
Yeah, that's one thing when they're going to get with Philip as a veteran, and that's what most teams don't have is just at least a veteran that kind of knows what he's looking at when it comes to a defense.
that will help.
We appreciate you coming on, Grant. I mean, this has been a blast, and I really appreciate all the insight. This is why we have you.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate it, and it was a lot of fun. I'd love to do it again if you have me. So it's good stuff.
Absolutely, your name's on the wall here. I like that. Thank you again, and stay healthy and stay safe out there.
Right on. Same to you guys. I'll see you again. Thanks.
All right. Thanks.
Two great insights from two great fans. Good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I think since we had that amazing insight from them, we're actually not going to have time to get to, the Titans and the Jaguars on this show. But if you come and tune in Thursday, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hit us up on our Facebook page for RTS Sports Network and on and off the field, and we will be live because that's a lot of fun. You could comment on the show. It's really a great time. So make sure you come up onto the live show. This video will be posted on our Patreon. This episode is brought to you by the AFC South and one of the quarterbacks in the AFC South.
All hail the Jockstrap King.